Hey all, this is Derek, and this is section 2.2. It's about formulas. We're going to both evaluate formulas and then solve them for a given variable. So this first one goes, the area of a trapezoid with bases capital B and lowercase b and a height h is given by this formula right here. I just wrote it a little bit bigger so you could see it. Find the area of a trapezoid whose bases are 7 and 3 and whose height is 8 centimeters. So you don't have to make a list of what you have, you can just plug them straight in. But if you're going to take like physics classes or chemistry, or even math 116, 148, this kind of gathering up what you know is a pretty good strategy. So I'm going to show it that way. So I'm going to let big B be the 7, and little b is the 3, and then I also know h. They gave me that. And they're asking me to find the area, so area is what I'm looking for. So it means I'm plugging into this side of the formula, and I'm going to get this, which is not always the case. So you just kind of have to be careful to actually match up what goes where. So area in this case is going to be 1/2 big B 7 plus little b 3, and h is 8. So let's see, that would be 10. And then times 8. So that'd be 80. Half of 80 would be 40. And our units would be centimeters squared if it asked. Okay, number 2, use the formula to find the length. Okay, so this time we're looking for length, which is not already solved for. And that's kind of what this next part's going to be, is solving for a given variable. So we're looking for length. If the width W is 60 feet, and the perimeter is 290 feet. So there's our list. We're looking for L, so we're going to plug in for everything else. 290 equals 2 times L plus 2 times 60. So then we can go 290 equals 2L plus 120. That was my cat, if that picked up. We're going to subtract the 120 on both sides. We're just trying to get this L by itself. So that would be 170 equals 2L. And then dividing over the 2, that will give me L equals be 85 feet. And so this next thing that we're going to do, if I had to find this L for a bunch of different things, I maybe don't want to do all this solving every time, right? So it might be nice if I had this equation, but if I had it L solved for L in terms of these other two variables. So that's what we're going to do down here, is figure out how to get an equation solved around. So in this case, it would turn out to be P minus 2W over 2 if we solve that. So if we had it in this form, and I'll show you how I did that when we do the examples, I could just put in the 290 minus 120, there's my 70 over 2, there's the 85. So it can be handy to be able to get this into that form to avoid all this solving around if it's something we're going to use a few times. So that gets us to solving equations. So solve the following formula for x this time, and let me write this larger. Okay, so we are solving for this x right here. And to do that, we're going to basically do the exact same thing we would do if all the rest of this mess were numbers. So something you can do is think about so x is our variable, pretend like this was just, forget about the m's and the b's for a second. If this was y equals 10x plus 3, we would subtract the 3 first, right? Because we do our add subtract first. And then we would divide out the 10. Nothing changes when we throw some letters in there. It's the exact same steps. So if you can look at the form and go, what would I do if it looked not quite so crappy as this, if it's just that? Yeah, I mean, if this doesn't even have to be a y. Pretend like it's a number. Pretend like this is 8. You'd go, minus 3 and get 5, and you divide over the 10, you'd have a half. You're going to do those exact same operations with these. So in this case, we want to subtract the 3b. And like in this example over here, that comes out to a nice reassuring 5. Over here, it comes out to this big messy y minus 3b, but that's just what it is. These are a little messy. And then to get the x by itself, we would divide out the 10m on both sides. and 10 over 10, m over m, and so that is solved for x. A note on typing these into the computer, use your preview button that you'll see when you're in the answer box. It'll say preview right over to the side. Click on that so that you can see what you typed. And better yet, actually scratch that. Do use your preview button if you try to type directly into the box. But better than that, don't try to type directly into the box. Click on the box. There's going to be a yellow arrow. Click on that, and that's going to open the MathQuill menu. And then you can use the fraction template, which will make typing this like a bazillion times easier. You'll just click on this, put the y minus 3b up top, click on the bottom 10m, and it will put all those parentheses where they need to go. So strongly encourage you to click on the yellow arrow on the side of the box. Okay, number 4, we are solving for A. There's a couple ways I could go here on this. I could distribute the 3 through, or I could divide the 3 over and work from there. I'm going to do this one, since those are just nice numbers in there, I'm going to distribute the 3 through, I think. But both would be valid. So 3 times 4 would make a 12a, and then 3 times 3 is going to make a 9b. And we are solving for A. So once I did that distribute, it's basically the exact same thing as the last problem. I'm going to subtract over the 9b. So I'm trying to solve for that A right there. So this will be y minus 9b equals 12a. And then I'm just going to divide the 12 on both sides. And then A equals this. If you're having thoughts about reducing the 9 and the 12, so that's the spot where you would get stuck a little. This 12 belongs as much to this y as it does to that 9b. So if you did reduce, you would have y over 12 minus 3/4 b. And that's actually kind of, if I had divided the 3 over the y, I would have ended up in this form of the answer. So it's also right, nothing wrong with it. Just be careful to not feel like you cancel here without canceling there. Next one, we are solving for m. Yep, so not a big thing. That's just a little minus r there. So let's go plus r to both sides. That's pretty much the same deal. So 3m equals x plus 2 plus r. Nothing to be done, right? No like terms. Divide the 3 over, and probably the hardest part is, again, just typing it in the computer correctly. So use that fraction key, and that will absolutely help you. If you don't want to use a fraction key, if you insist on not doing that, make sure you get parentheses around your entire numerator, and then if your denominator is doing anything more than just a 3, if there's any addition or subtraction, you need to get parentheses around that as well. Okay, for number 6, there are a number of different things I could do first, and to me, I think the easiest one, and I'm going to do this in a couple of steps, and so for those of you who are more comfortable, you could certainly cut out a couple of steps here. But I think for me, I'm going to clear the fraction, because I think that will be the most helpful for the most people. So let me multiply both sides by 2. That gets that chunk out of my way. And now I got 2a, and then big B plus little b equals h, and I'm solving for big B. So here, there's, again, a couple of ways I could go. I could distribute the h, and in that last example, that's what I did with the 3, but that's because everything was numbers. This is like kind of getting to more letters. So I could distribute h. I could also divide the h over. So this time I think I'm going to show it as dividing the h over, just to show it the other way, because both ways are right. And sometimes one will feel easier, sometimes the other one feels easier. So to me, this time this feels easier. And now I'm just going to subtract the b. And I have big B by itself. Had I not done that, I could have distributed the h, and then I would have a minus bh right here, and then this whole thing would be over h. And you can see if I split it up, the h's would cancel, I'd be back at this form. And again, both forms of that answer are absolutely correct. And then the last one, we were solving this for that h right there. Let me write that a little bit larger again. And I think I would get rid of the fraction first. I could bring the 70 over 2 and then multiply both sides by 4. It doesn't really matter which order, when I multiply by that 4. I think I'll just get it out of the way. So those cancel. Careful to not then, and what people do wrong right there is they forgot to do the 70, because they're like, yeah, it's gone. So this should be a 280 now, because it's also got to be 4 times bigger. 4 times 5 on this side gets us a 20G. And then just kick that 280 over. And that's going to be our H. So 20G minus 280.